This is something that can influence the price of the watch up to 30%. You need to save everything, every paper, every service paper, receipt. If you have a watch that is with value higher than €2,000, $2,000, I would recommend. But of course, I would say the most important is
So what do you think is the most important thing regarding selling a watch and then at the same time get the most profit when you sell your watch?
the most important, what influences the price of the watch.
Yes.
I think it's the condition of the watch.
Yeah.
Whether the watch served or not.
Yeah.
You might have some service documents that proved the condition and the precision. This is the thing that is not the most obvious. Not every seller thinks about this, but every buyer thinks about how much will I invest more in the watch in order to own it and not having problem in the future. So, of course, to serve the watch before you sell it, or to check the condition of the watch, it's always a good thing to start with.
And if you service the watch and maybe it is the first time you do it, it could maybe be good that you make sure that they don't polish the watch.
Yes, for sure.
Most collectors want them to be non-polished.
Yes. The less is done on the original condition, the better. Of course, if the watch has visible scratches, and it's something that really will influence the price and its appearance and overall experience of the watch, then it's something to consider that you need maybe to remove this.
Can it be a big difference in price? You have the cost for the service between different brands?
The higher the price and the value of the watch, as a rule, the higher the cost of the service. It's very difficult to say because every watch is in different condition, but this is something to consider, that a buyer will think about the cost of service, and if you sell the watch that is in need of maintenance, then this is a trade-off with the price.
If you would give a recommendation, should you service the watch before you sell it or not?
Served watch will sell much quicker.
Okay.
This is something that this is the truth because there is nothing, no hidden things. You don't. You have a service document. You know what was done, what was not done, and you know that the watch has precision as it should have. It's no hidden cost for the buyer, and that's why possibility to sell it quicker is higher. And of course, then it will include the price will include the service cost. So the watch can be served before, like 1 year, 2 years before, and if it still has good precision and a good condition, then it's no need to serve it again. Of course, if it was not served before and the precision is not there, then you need to serve it. Or you can choose not to serve, but then you know that you will get much less paid.
But if you service the watch before you sell it, I can, for example, think about one instance where that maybe isn't the best choice. If I want to sell a watch fast and I won't mention any brand, but a brand that takes a long time servicing the watch, it could be maybe 6 or 12 months. How can I sell the watch fast if I need to service the watch?
Then you do not serve the watch. Then you sell it in the condition it is. But it's always good to know the precision and the overall condition. So
and maybe you can do some minor things.
You can clean the watch for the first, and you can check yourself first the precision. But later on, if you sell through a dealer, then a dealer needs to check the watch condition and to make some cleanings and so on.
Yeah.
So service for sure is something to have in mind. But if you want to sell quickly, service not as option, and then you always need to think that price will be influenced. One of the most obvious things that you think about when you sell a pre-owned watch or buy a pre-owned watch is a full set, which means the watch with original box and original certificate, and also something that is not that obvious, but also original receipt. So
that's actually new for me. I haven't heard that it can be important to have a receipt when you're selling your watch.
Yes, it's always a plus because it shows that watch was bought at original authorized dealer, and that there will be no problem with the warranty, or was no problem with the warranty, and a clean history of the watch. So this is something that when we sell watches, we always look at all the papers and always ask about receipt, if the customer has original receipt or not. And it doesn't matter if the watch the customer bought before from a private person, but still has this original receipt from the previous owner. So this is something that the history that follows with, and it's more clear history, and something that we know that the watch has no problems from the start. But talking about the full set, this is something that can influence the price of the watch up to 30%. So this is for sure, if you buy a watch, you need to save everything, every paper, every service paper, receipt, small details, maybe even price tags, everything. It always gives a positive, positive influence and positive.
I saw that you had a couple of months ago, I think, a Rolex Datejust with a silver dial and diamonds in 36 millimeters, I think. And the price was pretty low. And I asked why, and you said because it didn't have any documents.
It didn't have a certificate, and it did not have original box.
Yeah.
But of course, we could see the origin of the watch. The watch was original, and we issued appraisal certificate for it. But as it lacked this, so
it was
it
about
was up
30%.
To 30% of the value.
So we have sell it yourself, and then we have watch dealer, we have auctions, and we have pawn shops.
Yes.
Which platform that is the best, if you can see that one is better than the other? They are at least very different. So if you sell it yourself, how do you do that the best way possible, would you say? And would you recommend it?
I would recommend to look at the watch and understand the value of it, and which price level the watch is in. For some watches, for sure, it's more beneficial, and you will maximize the price, maximize your profit if you sell yourself. For instance, for watches under €2,000, $2,000, I would recommend to sell on yourself. There are some pros and cons, but if you want to maximize the price, this is the way to go. If you have a watch that is with value higher than €2,000, $2,000, then you have possibility to sell through a dealer or go to pawn shop or through auction. For the watches in price level from €2,000 or dollars up to, I would say, €20,000 dollars, to sell through a dealer, I think the best option. And in case if you have a special piece, collector piece or vintage watch, then I would recommend to go to auction house, and especially to maybe international auction house that
like in Switzerland or...
Yes, because for some special pieces maybe will be no demand in your country or in your town, but it will be a demand somewhere else in other part of the globe. So Of course, if you have a special watch, then go to auction. Auction also can be tricky because, yeah, watch sells in particular time, and if your buyer is there, then you can sell for a much higher price than you thought, and there are several buyers that are interested, of course. But you have very limited time, and this is the thing with the auction. With the dealer and with the price level 2 to 20,000, you have longer time, and you can sell it for a higher price if you wait for your buyer. Yeah.
Pawn shops.
Yes.
For what kind of watches and people in the sense of the situation you are in, would you recommend pawn shops for?
Of course, pawn shops are the first, you use them just to loan money and then pay back. But sometimes when you want to sell very quickly and you are not in need to be engaged in the process, I would recommend to go to pawn shop. You get your money pretty quick. Of course, you can then buy a watch back if you change your mind, but if you don't, you have very quickly money on your account, and you do not need to be involved in the process, because when you sell through a dealer, dealer can also buy the watch directly, or you can buy through kind of consignment. And then you are more, if the watch will be sold in 1-2 months, then dealer can offer you to lower the price or do something with the watch, maybe serve it or to sell it quicker. And in that case, you need to be involved. You need to know that, okay, I still own it and I still am in the process of selling. So if you do not want to be involved in the process, if you want your money quick, but this is not the way if you want to maximize the value of and the profit of your watch.
Can you maybe say that pawn shops maybe is the least best platform if you want to get the most?
Yes, this one, I would say that.
They can take a lot,
Yeah, they take a lot because they take risk.
Yeah, of course. I have one question regarding watch dealers. How do you know that it's a good watch dealer?
I'm not the right person to ask this question, but...
Can you give any tip? Because if you are totally new regarding selling watches and you go the route with a watch dealer, I mean...
How to know that they will sell your watch for a maximum of price? I think you need just to look at the company and what assortment they have, how they sell watches. If it's a small local dealer with only selling in their shop, it's one way. If they are more kind of differentiated and sell, they have website or they sell through platforms as well, plus in the local shop, as actually we do, then the possibility to sell quicker and to higher price is much bigger. For instance, we sell to pre-owned watches to all the continents, and sometimes watches that are not so, I would say, in demand or popular in Sweden, they can be much more popular in US, and if we will sell them in our shop, it would be maybe 20-30% less price than the price that we can set for on the watch, and because we can sell it to the market where the demand is higher. So I would say that look at the dealer, how long time they are in business, how they sell watches, and what type of watches do they have. If they have only very high-end watches, then for them it would be more difficult to sell a watch that is kind of $5,000 because they are not dealing with this type of products. They don't have this clientele. And
so see what kind of watches they sell, and if they have similar types of watches that you want to sell, then it could be a good fit. If I want to sell a watch, I have, of course, the watch. I have decided if I want to service it or not. I have decided on which platform.
Yes.
What's the next step? I don't know if you mentioned it, but the importance of good images, good description, and is it any more?
I would say also before you take pictures and description,
Yeah.
if you want to sell on your own, I would recommend to go to a local dealer, a watch appraiser, and make an appraisal on your watch to show that it's what is the market price for it, and that it's what condition it is, and where you have this signature or stamp that really approves the originality of the watch and the price.
And if you don't do that, at least go online and see if you can find your watch pre-owned and which price that other are asking for it, so you know somehow in which
you need
range.
to make your research, but to be more safe and also to maximize your price, to give this extra security for the buyers, you can show this certificate, and it would be a small but extra possibility to maximize the value of the watch.
All right.
And then, of course, you need to go through all the qualifications and to write everything what follows with the watch. If you have extra straps, if the watch was serviced and what was done and when, as well as the pictures of all these documents. Everything, the more information you give, the better, actually. So from this perspective. But of course, I would say the most important is pictures of the watch, because they talk on their own.
And with pictures, I can say that I would say that lighting is probably the biggest thing you need to think about to have good lights, and that you can do with the sun. So if you open up the window or the shades, so the sun comes in, so you don't take pictures of your watch when it's dark. And then if you have professional camera, use that. If not, take your smartphone and you can probably get some good images there also. And this is maybe overkill, but it's super good if you can do it, and that is to have images of all the important angles. And for that you can look at your images on your website and on other dealers to see how which angles they take pictures of, so that the buyer knows the condition.
Yeah, that's very important, that pictures really show the condition, all the scratches, hairlines.
So regarding safety, for example, fraud, and that you feel safe when you sell your watch will maybe come into the picture most when you sell it yourself. Can you say anything, any recommendation there?
This is a question you can ask yourself, because for recent times it becomes not that safe to sell on your own. So you really need to be prepared and to think about how you will sell the watch, how you will show it. Because maybe not the person who will buy has some thoughts, but people who are around and see that you have kind of deal and you have a watch that, you show the watch. The safest way is to sell, of course, through dealer, pawn shop, or to auction, because then you just leave the watch, and that's not you who will face the customers, the buyers. But when you sell on your own, then very important to think about how you want to show the watch. The same with the buying and selling. When there are a lot of higher amounts are involved, then you need to think about how this person will pay you.
Can you also say that it's good to not reveal personal information and maybe your telephone number? So if it's, you don't want to mention too much about yourself that people can actually find you and maybe try to rob you or stuff like that.
Of course, you need to think about security. By your phone number, you can find where you live and who you are.
Yeah, I think that's the case in many Western countries.
So this is the thing to think about. If you selling through, I don't know, marketplace and Facebook, and there is obvious who you are and it's very easy to find you, maybe not the best way to sell your watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the least information you leave, the better.
Yeah. I would also say that one thing I think is important, that regarding many things we have talked about, and you mentioned, that it can take time to sell your watch. So if you want to sell your watch really fast,
Yes.
you should have a lower price. A bit
Yes.
lower maybe.
Yes.
And
If you want to maximize,
yeah,
be prepared that it will take time. I would say that. If you want to say to the highest possible price,
yeah,
you need to wait to a particular client, particular buyer who is prepared to buy your watch on this price level. And we, as a rule, we try to set the prices that are true to market and true to demand. But we do not sell only in Sweden. So we consider different countries and see how the prices for particular models and for particular brands changed over time. And we know that some brands will be sold for higher price in the future, in maybe 6 months, 1 year. And we understand that if our seller who wants to sell to us doesn't have this time pressure, we can set a higher price and wait.
yeah.
Because we know that he or she will sell.
And that's the
the
best
price.
if you want to maximize the price.
Of course.
To have
Yes.
the ability
But
to wait.
If you are selling on your own and you do not have this knowledge,
Yeah.
then it would be problematical to sell to higher price.
Yeah.
Then you sell on the price that is now on the market, on your local market.
So to summarize, you're a watch dealer, so you're a bit biased. But even with that said, you would recommend a watch dealer in general if you have a watch that is $2,000 and up in value.
Yes,
Yes.
I would recommend a dealer. Firstly, because it's the most secure way to sell your watch, especially in this higher price level.
Yeah.
And also because it's the easiest way and the most probable way to sell to a higher price. So that's why I would recommend a dealer. But again, not for everyone, not for all price level.
No.
If it's below 2,000 euro or dollars, you can sell on your own and have a higher profit.
And rare pieces auction house.
Yes, in that case, if you do not have this big auction house near you, you can go to a dealer who maybe has connections, and in that way, for special pieces to sell on auction. And we will, of course, answer all your questions in comments if you will have. I think that was everything we wanted to say for today. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.